Hi. Hi. Hi.
Bored na bored? Mag-V-Smart quiz na! With more than 2,000 questions from numerous topics, this app will keep you entertained habang nagpapatalas ng isipan. I-challenge ang sarili by choosing the level of difficulty. Makipagtagisan din ng galing at talino sa ibang manlalaro sa amang lupalop ng mundo. Para magkaalaman kung sino ang tunay na quizmaster. Sa V-Smart Quiz app, lahat ng stress and boredom will all be gone.
Hi! Mag-download na rin kayo ng V-Smart Quiz app.
Now available on Google Play Store and Apple App Store.
Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Facebook Live. For the discussion today, the topic will be on linking theory and practice, enhancing learning through cooperative learning. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.bibalgroup.com or eturo.org to generate your proof of attendance. And share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Mr. Joram Kim Corcuera is a graduate of Bachelor in Secondary Education, major in English at the Philippine Normal University in 2011. He obtained his Master of Arts, major in Communication degree at Ateneo de Manila University in 2019. At present, he is taking his PhD in English Language Studies at University of Santo Tomas Graduate School. He has been delivering CPD training and teacher seminars across the country for more than 5 years. Sir Joram also represented the Philippines in various international research conferences about education and communication. He is also into journalism as has already experienced handling a number of students' publications in different schools and universities such as San Veda University and University of Santo Tomas. At present, he teaches at the UST Faculty of Arts and Letters and UST Junior High School. He also serves as the educational consultant to Vival Group Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joram Kim Corcuera.
We're all becoming aware of the pandemic's effects on mental health. Specifically, no, we educators, together with our students, have experienced feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and even some mental health issues as a result of the distance learning setup, and even the adjustment, of course, no, that we're having, of course, no, as we try to embrace the blended learning setup. With this, it is a must for us teachers to be able to address the social and emotional well-being of students for them to do well in their academics. As educators, we also continuously face obstacles that we were unable to anticipate a few years ago. But we all know, no, that no educator should be solely responsibility for the instruction of the students. We teachers, we desire, all of us, no, desire continuous support, time to engage with peers, and even professional development. And with regards to all these things, no, it is just right that we try to embrace new strategies that would allow us, of course, to achieve these specific goals. That's why cooperative learning, the strategy that I'm going to talk about this afternoon, is very timely. Everyone, welcome to our session titled Linking Theory and Practice, Enhancing Learning Through Cooperative Learning. I am Mr. Joram Tim Corquera, faculty from the University of Santo Tomas, and I will be serving as your research speaker for this afternoon's Facebook Learning Live session. Allow me to begin our session with a quote. So this quote comes from Matej Stepanek. According to this person, unity is strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. Indeed, this is what we want to happen. Right now that we're dealing with the pandemic, we're dealing with a lot of issues, with a lot of problems. It would be helpful for all of us, no, if we would be able to strengthen teamwork, no, so that we would be able to face all these issues, all these problems, not all by ourselves, no, but of course together with our peers, together with our friends, who would definitely help us succeed and reach our professional and personal goals. With the COVID-19 pandemic impacting all aspects of our lives, including the teaching and the learning process, there is no doubt that collaborative learning is something that we should be using. Why? Because collaborative learning can aid students in developing new methods of communication. It can also, no, allow us to manage, no, remote workforces while still fostering greater team agility, no? So better teamwork and definitely student empowerment. In this pandemic-affected world, various organizations and educational institutions are increasingly turning to team-based collaborative learning to comprehend subject areas where there are no fixed remedies or protocols, and where critical but more lateral ways of thinking are actually required, such as the development of new forms of leadership and definitely, no, the acquisition and improvement of our communication skills. When we talk about cooperative learning, no, and skills, no, we should be able to take note that collaborative learning results to the development of soft skills such as problem solving, storytelling, collaboration, curiosity, communication, creativity, even critical thinking, teamwork, and adaptability. No? All these are enhanced by collaborative learning. And these quote-unquote power qualities are regarded as some of the most crucial, no, in the modern business climate. And of course, we all know that the very reason why our students are staying in school, no, is primarily because they're being trained to develop the skills and the knowledge they need, no, of course, to be successful, no, in the life awaiting them after they finish schooling, and of course, no, have finally secured their degree. Put in mind that effective online collaborative learning can also benefit students of all levels. This is something that I'd like to highlight today, no. Later in my slides, I would be discussing collaborative learning in the new normal, both in the brick and mortar setup, or of course, no, with the assumption of the face-to-face classes, and definitely still, no, with in the virtual world. Why? Because just like what I told you, no, there's no doubt, without a doubt, these collaborative solutions, this collaborative learning approach, no, can also aid students in the development of their essential abilities. But right now, let us try to define first, no, what is really collaborative learning. When we talk about collaborative learning, it is an educational strategy in which groups work together to improve learning. Students collaborate to solve problems, to accomplish projects, and to learn new things. This can take place among peers or even in larger groups. When students work in pairs or small groups, they engage in collaborative activities. So when we use the term collaborative learning, no, it refers to a variety of educational approaches that would involve, more often than not, no, intellectual collaboration among students or between students and their teachers, no, their educators, even their professors. No, typically students work in groups of two, no, or as a pair, or sometimes even more to create a product or to produce, no, a performance, to discover insights, to find solutions, or even, of course, to explore meanings. Rather than the instructions, presentation, or explanation, the majority of collaborative learning activities focus on students' inquiry or application of course material. Unlike passive memorization, this strategy promotes active processing and concept synthesis. Furthermore, when we talk about collaborative learning, we should take note that students acquire 21st century abilities like communication, critical thinking, decision-making, leadership, and even conflict resolution using this technique. Making this technique very valuable, proving the significance of this specific strategy. That's why everyone, all teachers, despite the fact that, totoo naman, minsan ang hirap mag-implement ng collaborative learning, lalo na ngayon in the new normal, there are a lot of protocols that we have to follow, nagkaroon ng mga freeloaders, but then again, this is something that's still the students must experience, right? So in addition to that, collaborative learning, it is a learning, sorry, apologies for that error. It is a learning strategy based on the notion of two or more students working collaboratively towards a common objectives. So indeed, when we talk about collaborative learning, it is a form of instruction in which students discuss a course or a curriculum-related topic, solve a problem, or create a product, just like what I mentioned to you earlier. So when we talk about collaborative learning, kagaya po nung nasa picture ngayon, I'm going back to this picture because this picture is one of my most favorite slides. Why? Because we're talking about gears, Di ba? Sabi ngayon, I was able to define already collaborative learning. Right now, in front of you, we have gears. So, in order for us to make these gears work, we have to understand that these gears are part of a machine. And when we talk about a machine, when we talk about gears, all gears will only move, di ba po, if may nagsimulang gumalaw. And if may unang gumalaw, for example, we'll start with the green one. If that green gear would move, then we expect the yellow gear to move as well. Followed by the pink gear, the blue gear, the orange gear, and even the red gear. And this is how collaborative learning works. They work together. Kaya kapag, for example, gumalaw ang isa, kailangan gagalaw lahat. This is how we make collaborative learning work. So in other words, if we teach our students to work together, okay, then this is like, then they would be parang somehow represented by the gears. That they would be working together to make, of course, everything work. And that's the premise of what we call collaborative learning, right? But when we talk about collaborative learning, did you know that collaborative learning stems from a specific theory? Social interdependence theory is often cited as a foundation of collaborative learning. In fact, according to Bandura and Walters in 1977 and Vygotsky in 1980, collaborative learning is an instructional strategy based on social constructivism and social learning principles. And its primary argument is that social discourse is necessary for the expansion of knowledge and cognitive capacity. On that note, okay, let's stick with the title of this specific webinar, Linking Theory and Practice. So later I'll be giving practical applications, but for now, let's look at the theoretical perspective first of collaborative learning. So right now, let us try to define social interdependence theory. Social interdependence theory attempts to explain how people view their interactions with others. When it is applied to formal education, the theory provides instructors or teachers with strategies for assessing and for positively impacting student relationships, allowing students to learn from and with one another, and making education a pleasurable experience for all. Moreover, when we talk about social interdependence theory, from the term itself, interdependence, which develops when no one succeeds without the effort of others, when resistance is required. Okay, this is something, of course, that is a concept that is very important, with regards to this theory. So to foster interdependence, we put students in circumstances where they cannot achieve their goals without the help of others. The contribution of one is required for the success of the other. For example, if person A is able to obtain a positive outcome independent of person B's activities, then person A has a high control of active control. Person A is high in terms of partner control if he or she is also dependent on the activities of person B to determine whether or not he or she gets a positive outcome. So for us to be able to understand interdependence even more, let us talk about the three most important concepts, no, when it comes to social interdependence theory. The first one is positive interdependence, followed by negative interdependence and no interdependence. So these are three ways in which individuals, including students, can see others according to social interdependence theory. So when you talk about positive interdependence, this happens, no, when one person benefits from the other person's act, and of course, no, if what hurts one person hurts others, then this is positive interdependence. So for example, no, we're having a group activity, then one student, no, was able to really perform well. If the grade of that person, no, or if the performance of that person would benefit the entire group, that's positive interdependence. But if that person was not able to deliver well, no, so negative, for example, comments were given, feedback, no, so definitely, no, it caused harm to that person. And if that would also hurt the other members of the group, then that's still positive interdependence. Negative interdependence, on the other hand, states that what helps one has a negative impact on the other. And what hurts one has a beneficial impact on the other. Ito opposite, no? So this could be, for example, competition, right? If you're having a game, no? So if that person A is winning, then let's say, for example, person B, we only have two persons competing. Person A is winning, then definitely person B is losing. So that's, of course, no, negative interdependence, especially if they will be implementing the plus minus system. Finally, we have here the third one, no interdependence. Here, individuals believe that the acts of others neither benefit nor harm them. So in other words, no, whatever other people do, okay, these things would not affect, okay, the other students as well. So that is no interdependence. So what is our goal here? Ako, personally, in my classes, I always try to maximize, no, positive interdependence. So inspired by the social interdependence theory, okay, collaborative learning was able to establish, okay, some of its principles, no. Ito yung tinatawag natin principles of collaborative learning na talaga namang chine-check ng mga educators, no, whenever they're going to implement the said strategy. So number one, collaborative learning best works if, of course, we're going to have heterogeneous grouping. So this concept emphasizes that the groups of students who participate in cooperative learning or collaborative learning activities varies in terms of gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic level, religion, personality, age, language, competence, diligence, among other things. Ako po personally, no, I really enjoy when I see products of brainstorming, no, where you're going to see the different cultures, no, embedded dun sa output nila. It's really nice, of course, no, if the students would be able to learn from one another and, of course, view diversity as something that is very, very beautiful. Second, of course, when we talk about collaborative learning, then we can never get away with collaborative skills or the capabilities, no, of the students for collaborative collaborative activities, such as, for example, the skill of presenting arguments, you know, the skill of being able to work with others. There's no doubt that some students may lack these skills, okay, as well as even being able to kumbaga, manifest, no, okay, the communication skills, specifically, even the language, no, to be able to share things or the motivation to do so, no. Kaya naman, dapat, of course, as educators, we continuously motivate our students. Third is group autonomy, or what we call the interdependence, no, of the specific group. So here, this method encourages pupils to use their own resources instead of relying exclusively on the teacher. Remember, it's a student-centered approach dapat po palagi, no, in the 21st century. So right now, the students should not be limited only by the materials that we give, that especially the students are digital natives, so they have the internet. They're very much comfortable in using the internet. Okay, so that when students group, for example, face difficulties, they would easily, get specific things online that can supplement their learning and that eventually, can address the difficulty or the hardships, that they're actually facing. Number 4 is maximum peer interactions. It's very important, that when students participate in cognitive activities, like for example, this one, it's very important that we try to maximize peer interactions. We ask them to elaborate on their responses and thoughts and to display cooperative behaviors. Okay? Because through this, we would be able to improve the quality, of their peer connections. Number 5, equal opportunity to participate. In collaborative learning, it is a must that we emphasize that participation is open to everybody. Okay, and that cooperative learning or collaborative learning specifically promotes more equal engagement among group members by attempting to manage interaction so that every group member has an equal opportunity to participate. Okay? Number 6 is individual accountability. We as educators, we anticipate that while seeking to encourage individual accountability in groups, we have to make them realize that all members must make an effort to learn and should share their opinions, their thoughts specifically. Number 7 is positive interdependence. Indeed, interdependence is one of the key concepts of collaborative learning. And I would say that interdependence is truly beneficial. Okay? And this is where cooperative learning, talaga namang, kumbaga, establish its premise. Remember, when group members have positive interdependence, they believe that what benefits one also benefits the others. And that what affects one member also harms the other. So this all for one for all, concept would really motivate the entire group to work together and achieve their common goal. And lastly, of course, cooperation as a value. The students must see that cooperation is really a valuable characteristics, and that this notion, is a very important component of the subject that they have, of course, to learn. And that this is also a logical consequence of the most important premise of cooperative learning, So, which is, of course, gaya ng sinasabi ko kanina pa, positive interdependence. So, cooperation as a virtue necessitates broadening the emotion all for one or one for all beyond the small classroom group to include the entire class, the entire school, and so on, bringing on the increasing number of people and other beings into the circle of those with whom students cooperate. So, all these principles now, of course, are coming from the research paper of George Jacobs, right? So now let's proceed to another theory that is still connected to collaborative learning, and that is socio-cultural theory. Socio-cultural theory emphasizes how learners, kasi ginagamit ito even in language, or second language learners, but not only, in terms of learning languages, regulate their learning based on surroundings, including peers and experience with others. When applied to formal education, this theory provides instructors or teachers with strategies for assessing and positively impacting student relationships, allowing students to learn from and with one another, and making education a pleasurable experience for all. Vygotsky, sociocultural theory views humans as culturally and historically situated and not as isolated individual. And a key emphasis on this theory lies in the ways that we help each other learn rather than learning on our own. So when we talk about sociocultural theory, kung kanina sa social interdependence ang napakahalagang concept. Here, the concept of scaffolding is very, very important. So this scaffolding refers to the support provided as buildings are being constructed. Here, in the field of education, according to Vygotsky, scaffolding can be provided to students by teachers, more capable peers, and even by students at or below that student's current level. When teachers use cooperative learning and collaborative learning, they seek to enable students to work towards groups in which scaffolding takes place because the members care about each other, have the skills to help one another, and are involved in tasks that they truly find meaningful. In addition to that, this should be emphasized that in social-cultural theory, there are three key ideas. Okay? Specifically, no, in terms of learning new languages and learning new concepts. Okay? And what are those things, no, that are being assisted by that are being, no, emphasized in this specific theory. So one, of course, we talk about the role of scaffolding or the assistance provided by the others, such as teachers and peers. The zone of proximal development, the idea that students learn best when learning tasks are neither too easy or too difficult. So in having all these three ideas, no, you have to understand that cooperative learning helps, no, in all these aspects. When peers discuss, when students elaborate, debate, and explain to each other, they're using this specific language or the concepts, no, that they're learning with each other. And this scaffolding can bring into students ZPD's tasks that might otherwise have been too difficult, as well as providing a challenge to high-achieving students for whom the tasks might otherwise have been too easy. So this scaffolding, no, can take place, must be noted, either in person or on-site or even online. Okay, that's why when we talk about social-cultural theory, this states that everything that we learn appears first on the social plane between people, and then finally, no, on the individual plane. It is a must that we understand that we can learn, our students can learn, not only from those more expert than ourselves or than our students, but also from those at or below the current level. Okay, so that is the premise, no, of social-cultural theory. Having all these things said, no, there is really no doubt that collaboration in the classroom, okay, is very, very important. You know, and that collaboration in the classroom is also dependent on both skilled teamwork and task completion. Why? Because through these practices, children learn the motivation and interpersonal skills required for cooperation. That's why in collaborative learning, the students must come to know and trust one another. They must be able to communicate effectively. They must accept and encourage one another, and definitely, no, if there are disagreements, they must be able to resolve these things constructively. This is according to Johnson and Johnson, no, who felt that social skills contribute to improve performance, and these social skills can be enhanced by collaborative learning. Right, so resulting to the establishment of more favorable group interactions. Okay, on another note, no, if we talk about collaborative learning, okay, we have to understand, just like what I mentioned to you earlier, it can happen both on-site or in person, and during, of course, no, online classes or in the virtual world. Why? Because when we talk about collaborative learning, just like what I mentioned earlier, it is a method of teaching and learning in which students work in groups to study a topic or complete a project. So in other words, no, hindi masyado nagmamatter kung gawin mo siya online or offline. Okay, so as long as, of course, no, there would be teamwork, right? So that's why when we talk about collaborative learning, no, teamwork among students is very essential. Why? Because collaborative learning represents a significant departure from the usual teacher-centered or lecture-based classroom setting. So this lecture or listening, no, process may not disappear totally in collaborative classrooms, but it coexists with other processes centered on students' interaction and active participation with the course material provided by the teacher. Moreover, collaborative learning can also be demonstrated by students from different schools working on a shared assignment or accomplishing a specific task. No, that would definitely allow the improvement, no, of teamwork, no, of their teamwork skills specifically. But when we talk about collaborative learning, it exists not only among students, but cooperative learning, no, must also be present, no, among the teachers. So when we talk about collaboration among teachers, it would often involve debating, brainstorming, planning, and solving problems together inquiring collectively, using evidence and research to influence decision making. Yung simpleng, for example, you're planning how to execute a lesson, you're creating an assessment, no? You're contributing actively to a cautious and helpful learning environment by capitalizing on each other's strength and dealing with each other's deficiencies. So, syempre, no, when we work together, we understand that we have our own paideia. We have our own strengths, we have our own weaknesses. So, through cooperative learning, collaborative learning, we would be able, no, to address the gap. We would be able to strengthen our weaknesses and to maximize our strengths. Okay? Moreover, no, let's now dig deeper. Okay? Sabi ko kanina, cooperative learning, collaborative learning can happen both online and on-site, no, among teachers and among students. Now let's focus, no, our attention to collaboration during online classes. Okay, so with the increasing availability of digital learning environments, schools now have new tools to teach and assess student learning. So the digitalization of education promise systemic educational modernization based on digital technologies. So that's why the next slide, no, would be focusing, no, on how we collaborate, no, using technology inside the classroom. So in the online world, this is what we can use. No, these are just some of the many. No, with the availability of one-on-one, no, okay, device, no, and the internet as well, cooperative opportunities, no, abound. And here are 4 things to consider. Number 1 would be the breakout rooms. When students meet in small groups, they are actively involved and they have a voice. Here, small groups can meet simultaneously under the supervision of an instructor using video conferencing tools such as Zoom's breakout room. No, if you're going to use Google Meet or other applications, you can have concurrent meetings. So you can just send the links. No, so but before doing the breakout rooms, no, it is a must that you establish procedures for the secure use of cameras, microphones, chat, and screen sharing. Ako, this is what I do. No, so gumagawa kami ng mga escape rooms, gumagawa kami ng different games, no, that the students would have to accomplish together. So this is very, very, very interesting. Not only does it improve the cognitive abilities of the students, but even, no, yung emotions na talagang involved, no, making them more motivated, not to perform better. Number 2 is shareable documents. So these documents allow each student to complete their portion before handing it on to the next. So Google Suite, no, Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Forms, Google Sheets, no. These applications, together with some other applications, this allow multiple students to simultaneously view the same shareable document, enabling real-time collaboration. What's more amazing here is that, no, there is a history feature where you can easily track what the students actually type, diba? Sino nag-type nito, anong oras na ginawa, and then the like. Number 3 would have to be discussion boards, which can be used for real-time or even, no, during asynchronous instruction, depending on the systems and settings employed. So if you don't have, for example, a learning management system that has, no, the utilization of, or that promote the utilization of discussion boards, then you can use applications like Padlet, no, which would also enable students to respond simultaneously to the same question and then comment on one another's responses. You can also make use of Mentimeter, no. Syempre, ang Vibal, we have our own learning management system, yung vSmart, no. So you can also make use of that one. Number 4 would be the interactive digital whiteboards. Similar to traditional whiteboards, the digital whiteboards also allow students to share their thoughts with their classmates. So we talk about touchscreen devices, which are optimal for interactive digital whiteboards, no. We have to understand, okay, na ano ba talagang role nito, no. So this is, of course, no, very useful as well for quick formative evaluations that you can, of course, no, implement in small groups, right? So what about in on-site, no, classes or face-to-face classes? Is collaborative learning possible? Of course, no, without even even without the use of technology, collaborative learning is possible. So many students, especially those who are in remote areas, no, talaga namang they have restricted access to technology, limited access, no, to technology. So because of this, no, talagang nagiging challenging. But then again, these challenges must not stop us from using collaborative learning. Instead, no, we must really try our best to maximize pa, no, yung collaborative learning, even of course during this specific times. Okay? So now, let us try to see, no, what are the different, okay, ways on how we would be able to make use of collaborative learning, okay, during on-site classes. All right, so there you go. So number one, these are just some of the many. Number one, use large open spaces on campus. So why large open spaces? Because there's still COVID. Right? So you have to understand, no, that you still need to follow the protocols, right? So use large open campus spaces like the cafeteria, the gymnasium, or even the playground or the bus loop if ever your school has one, no, to allow students to share their learning while preserving social distance. So you can assign students to focus on a specific topic, no, and work with their groups and offer a discussion, no, regarding these things during class. So you can request the students to bring their paper, their pencils, or even their pen and other materials needed, no, for the accomplishment of the activity. So give them enough time to speak and take notes because this strategy, no, also requires time because they really need to discuss and learn from one another. So this strategy also allows for social isolation, mobility, and collaboration, no. Number two, you can also ask, no, for support, no, from extra adults. Okay, so who can assist you to supervise the students' behavior in large situations where they interact. So you can seek assistance from your co-teachers, from the staff, or even sometimes some volunteers or parents if possible, if that is of course authorized, so that you can monitor, lalo na kapag magkakalayo, because it's very important that of course, so you still would not be leaving them all by themselves, but of course, so you have to stay with them and guide them also from the start up until the end. Third, safety protocols nationwide and school-wide. So here, no, it's very important that we understand, okay, that there are specific protocols, no, that we of course need to follow. Okay? Like for example, sa atin ngayon, no, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So for example, sa sports, no, 'di ba sa sports dati may mga sports na pinapayagan, may mga sports na hindi pinapayagan pa. Right now, no, of course that we're almost beating COVID, hopefully magtuloy-tuloy na. 'Di ba? So medyo mas lax na, no, medyo mas maluwag na of course yung policies na in-implement. But we hope, no, that even of course we're implementing more mas maluwag ng policies, but we hope of course, no, that these policies would still be followed religiously. So now let's talk about the benefits, no, of collaborative learning. Right? So if we're going to implement it both online and offline, no, face-to-face classes. 'Di ba, kanina nag-present na ako ng ilan sa napakadaming paraan on how you would be able to maximize collaborative learning. Right, so these are some of the benefits. Number one is improve performance. Okay, so research indicates that collaborative methods are significantly more beneficial than individualistic methods for enhancement students' performance and growth. So in other words, no, is when students work together, you do not only ask them to have a mentality, no, that would benefit them in terms of improving their academic performance, but even, no, their personal growth. Kasi yung social skills nila talagang nade-develop. Number two is embedded learning. Collaboration embeds knowledge more effectively through listening and sharing, even surpassing the broadcast method by a great distance. Because a student, no, these learners are more likely to retain information learned with and from a classmate than information delivered from the front of the classroom. Diba? Masakit man tanggapin, pero totoo yun. No? They learn better, no, when their peers are the ones teaching them. Siguro kasi syempre they come from the same generation. Most probably they have the same learning style. They have a lot of similarities and then the line. So the discourse and the discussion over fresh ideas and methods for completing the assigned task make it more remembered and necessitate deeper abilities. Okay? Number 4 is confidence building. Well-planned teamwork enables all students to recognize and appreciate the significance of their individual contributions. It gives children the self-assurance to teach and learn from others, including their peers and, of course, their teachers, allowing them to really, become more confident. Number 4 is, ito po, napakahalaga, improve psychological health. It has been proven rather to be a significant relationship between cooperative learning, has been proven to be a significant relationship, okay, between education and psychological wellness. That's why a collaborative approach could always result in greater emotional maturity, well-adjusted social relationships, a strong personality identity, okay, the capacity to deal with adversity, basic trust and optimism about people, as well as independence and autonomy. Okay? Number 5 is inclusivity. Ito po, mahalaga rin to, because there's no such thing as a typical youngster, as a typical young learner. Okay? Because when you talk about collaborative learning, it also contributes to inclusivity. Why? Because it can provide exceptional pupils, with unique avenues for advancement. And at the same time, collaboration acknowledges the value of each member of the group, allowing each child to work to their strengths and receive assistance when necessary. Kaya walang typical, kasi although magkakaiba sila, they have different roles, okay? They have different responsibilities that they need to fulfill. Number 6 is well-rounded citizens. So collaborative practice can become so ingrained in a person that they carry their skills into their personal lives as well as their future studies and careers. The more individuals are equipped in this manner, the more harmonious the society can be. Right? Number 7, increase student engagement. Of course, we know that in 2012, a Microsoft study declared that the attention level span of our students, nowadays talagang shrink, parang sobrang baba na, parang pang 12 to 8 seconds if my memory serves me right. That's why we have to maximize collaborative learning. Why? Because it encourages students to form closer bonds with their classmates, with their instructors, and even with the course being taught, with the subject being learned. It encourages students to provide answers, to explain their point of view, and to defend their position. And during the settings, students become more active participants in the learning process, and they collaborate in the formation of their own knowledge. Okay? Number 8 is promotes teamwork. Okay? So when working in a community, specifically a collaborative environment in the real world, it is essential to develop these skills such as the ability to tolerate or to resolve differences, to build consensus that respects all group members' voices and care for others. Moreover, collaborative working environments foster the development of teamwork, community building, and leadership skills, which are all essential for fostering positive interdependence, which is an additional advantage of teamwork. And number 8, it enhances Number 9, it enhances memory retention. So according to different studies, collaborative learning may also result in increased engagement and in improved knowledge retention. Collaborative learning enables participants to attain higher level of thought, and the information is retained significantly longer than in a non-collaborative environment. All right, so now, let's have the 3 more, Ang dami ng benefits, So right now, hopefully, I'm convincing you already to really embrace collaborative learning, in your classes. Number 10 is it develops leadership skills. So when the students or the young learners are tasked with collaborating to achieve a common objective, they're given a chance to develop advanced leadership skills. Why? Because they're able to organize, to assign, to instruct, to monitor, to supervise, even to spearhead, They're learning how to manage themselves and others while leading effectively. Number 11, Collaborative learning promotes critical thinking. Ito napakahalaga, no? One of the 4 C's of 21st century education. The student must rapidly, synthesize responses when they talk about collaborative learning. And if their argument or if their proposal is lacking, deficient, they need to adjust their ideas on the spot. Talaga namang napopromote yung critical thinking. Why? Because the students would acquire the ability to think critically and quickly while assimilating new information and adjusting their perspective as new concepts are actually introduced. Okay, number 12, it enhances public speaking skills. Okay, so individuals learn to speak effectively in front of their peers, to listen actively, to challenge ideas, and to construct a conceptual framework with others. So this enhanced social comfort will benefit individuals, will benefit the young learners definitely, both socially and even professionally. So with all these things in mind, sa 12 benefits of collaborative learning that I have provided you, but we have to understand that these are just some of the hundreds or maybe even thousands of benefits that both the teachers and the students can get from collaborative learning. We have to understand na talaga namang these things can only be achieved if we would be able to implement it well. Alright, so now, let's proceed to the next slide. So put in mind that effective online collaborative learning or even on-site collaborative learning can truly benefit students of all levels. Without a doubt, these collaborative solutions can also aid them in the development of their essential abilities, not only their soft skills but even the other skills. So talagang ako, I'm very confident that the skills of the students will be truly developed and maximized if we would be able to effectively implement collaborative learning. But the question is, how do we implement it? So this is what we're going to talk about now. So let's try to divide it first. When I say implementation of collaborative learning, we can implement it for small groups or for large groups. Let's begin with the discussion for small groups. So typically, shorter collaborative learning tasks in the classrooms have 3 steps. So this one, of course, is applicable especially for small groups. So this process can take as little as 5 minutes or as long as an hour, depending on the work at hand. So what's the first step? Number 1, present the task or the assignment. So this can be as simple as instructing the students to debate regarding an issue with their friends, or pwede sabihin natin with their neighbor. Right? So in other words, the first tool is to just present the task to them, allow them, of course, to have a debate, to brainstorm, to talk about the topic. But remember, in giving task, the task should be given clearly. Dapat malinaw, kasi kapag magulo yung task yung instructions natin, then we would not be able to effectively promote and implement collaborative learning. Number 2, provide the students ample time to complete and accomplish the given task or the assignment. However, in doing this, while the students are doing that, kagaya sabi ko nga kanina, you can ask for even assistance. Why? Because you need to walk around so that you would be able to respond to any inquiries that occur. Or for example, you're seeing things, ay, parang malito. You can try to provide some intervention. It's a case-to-case basis. Okay? And number 3, debrief. So you can invite a few students to summarize their findings as well. So you can correct their errors and explain any ambiguous points, And of course, you have to allow them to ask questions, and you have to allot time for their inquiries. So what about for large groups? Okay. So listed below are some of strategies for ensuring productive group dynamics in larger group projects. Number 1, utilize icebreakers, team building activities, and even reflective activities. Kasi kung matagalan to, at of course, mas large din yung grupo nila, it's very important that you implement these activities. Why? Because these activities will establish group rapport and group cohesion, which is definitely a must, Lalo na, for example, kunyari, matagalan yung proyektong gagawin nila, mas malaki sila, malaking grupo sila. So, of course, in order for them to work effectively, they really have to know one another first. Number 2, provide the students sufficient time to construct a strategy. So, allot time for that, no? It's very important that you also allow them to plan how they're going to meet their deadlines, how they're going to split and divide responsibilities, how they're going to assign their roles, and then the like. Number 3, students must establish ground rules. So they could even have a written contract, no, that must be signed by all members. This contract may stipulate punishments for persons who fail to fulfill their obligations. Right? So number 4, assign assignments to members of each group and regularly retweet them. So, for example, one student could be the leader for today, one student could be the note taker, the other be the summarizer, the other be the convener, and then the like. So, tapos iikot yun, no? Para they get, of course, to try doing and fulfilling other roles as well. Number 5, permit students to evaluate the amount and quality of their classmates' contribution. So, utilize this evaluations, no, when assigning individual grades, but do not allow them to impact a student's cumulative grade at times. Although right now kasi pag sinabi natin talagang collaborative learning, no, mahalaga na talaga yung self and peer assessment, and hindi na natin maiwasan din na mabawasan at maapektuhan talaga yung grade ng lahat, no. Yung kapag for example if one performs like for example lucky yung performance, is naapektuhan din yung iba, no. So of course, no, positive interdependence, right? And then lastly, of course, regularly check in with groups. So, but in doing this, no, urge them to address their own difficulties before approaching you, no, for assistance. Kaya lang, at the same time, of course, no, be there. Kasi baka mamaya, ang dami na nilang nagawa, tapos technically sasabihin mo mali. So, that's going to be very frustrating for them. Right? So, now, so we're about to end, no? But I'd like to emphasize to you, no, that in collaborative learning, we actually shifted from my learners to our learners. Active collaboration indeed necessitates a transition from managing the learning of a particular set of students to collectively assuming responsibilities for the success and the well-being of all students. Innovative learning environments are altering already, no, how teachers collaborate to teach, plan, and investigate teaching. But regardless of the teaching environment, effective collaboration needs a shift from I to we, and definitely from my learners to our learners. All right, so now we reach the last slide. So I began with a quote. Allow me to end with a quote as well. This one is an African proverb, no? So allow me to read it for you. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Diba? So, and of course, ano ba yung gusto natin sa mga estudyante natin? We do not just want them to go fast. We want them to maximize their potential. We want them to reach, no, the sky. We want them, of course, no, na mapatunayan na talagang limitless talaga ang kanilang potential. So, in doing that, no, we have to understand that we teachers are not the only ones, no, needed, no, to be able to make them realize, no, that they have a lot of things to improve and that they can improve as well, but their peers as well. And so napakaganda nitong quote na to. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, you can email me at jcorquera@pivalgroup.com. Thank you everyone and stay safe. God bless po.
There we have it. In behalf of Bibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today. And to all our Kavival viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register and get your e-certificate of participation. The link is in the caption of this webinar. We encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vival Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.